Good afternoon, colleagues. It is 444th day of heroic struggle of Ukraine. I'm Natalia Prava, and we're continuing the series of briefings in Mediacentru Ukraine. We have Dmytro Solomchuk, member of Verkhovna Rada and a member of Verkhovna Rada's Agrarian and Land Policy Committee. Mr. Dmytro, good afternoon. Good afternoon to you. I don't know about the weather in your region. Here we have rain here, and we are working in the offices. Well, yeah, the weather all over Ukraine is not quite well, but for Ukraine, this year has become quite a hard one regarding the agricultural sphere. What questions can you raise here? What topics what can you say about the numbers in comparison to the previous year? Well, I think this year is the hardest one. It's basically regarding to other Ukrainians who do another activities in the agricultural sphere. All in all, we assembled 30 million tons of harvest, but the autumn harvest has just started. There was a month of rainings, and these are the last 7-10 days when the harvesting process is going on. Even though the last two days in the majority of regions, the weather is not quite favorable for harvesting. The harvesting will take place for quite a long time. According to my broadcast, it will end at the end of January. First of all, because we have to assemble too many sunflower seeds, too many soys, and in some regions the buckwheat assembly process is still going on, and the harvesting of corn has also started, and it will last for a long time because corn not only not only enough to assemble, but the um, it has the density of 22 degrees, 24 degrees, and then it has to be assembled. Yes, and Ukraine is facing the challenges as export of grain, export of harvesting, and the payment to agrarians. How will the price for harvesting will change, especially for the borscht cooking set? Well, due to the green corridor, through which the more than 60% of agricultural products is being exported from Ukraine, the price the price basically increased for especially for corn and rapeseed. And the price, the logistics through the sea is a little bit cheaper, and we hope that this green corridor will continue working, that Ukraine together with UN will defend our ground on our positions because we are meeting all the agreements and we are quite a reliable partner when it comes to supplying of our products because our products is something that everyone wants, but we have to deliver it somehow, and this green corridor is extremely important. Even though the additional ways of transition points, additional transition points are being built on the west of Ukraine, but still Europe doesn't have enough peculiarities, enough wagons, enough train wagons, and the delivery to Europe is the price for delivery in Europe is higher. Regarding the borscht cooking set, I can tell you this. Mm, the Ukrainians have planted much more vegetables than in any previous seasons, and also in many regions it was assured that the seeds and vegetables were provided on the free of charge basis, and today there is enough amount of potato. There are some questions, not enough regarding the onions. Their number is not as much as we would like to, but we already have agreements with many foreign suppliers from the nearest countries, and additionally, onions will be imported to Ukraine, and there will be enough, and this will not influence the price itself. As at today, the Porsche cooking set will will not change its price. The price will remain stable, but take into account that in Ukraine there is not enough amount of vegetable storages. 3 or 4 months, closer to the end of winter and beginning of spring, the borscht cooking set will increase in price for 15-20%. Yes, indeed. As it right now, we are observing the blocking of grain corridor. If you can tell, please, how many ships loaded with grain are there on hold in the ports? So it is exported approximately 9 million tons of agricultural products, and approximately 150 ships are slowed down, I would say, with entering for loading, and uh, and Russia is the one that is doing this, and this is a country and its political leaders who want to create problems both for us and to the whole world, and this is their position, and we all understand this. However, I hope that in this nearest day this question will be solved, and these 150 ships that have to be loaded as quick as possible, and I hope they will they will start their movement to those countries they are heading to, and the products will be supplied. And one doesn't have to forget here that from Russian agricultural products, starting from June, I'm sorry, uh, a variety of countries declined these because not many of them do not want to import Ukrainian grain, Russian grain, Russian wheat, and the corn itself they do not have it. Russians don't have it. Don't have corn. They have buckwheat, but this is mostly for the internal consumption. And many countries in the world refuse buying their products because there is understanding who they are, and maybe they have this kind of jealousy, and that is why they wanna put the strokes in our wheels. But I hope that we will win. Ukrainian president office is working for this. Ministry of in, out of inter, of Ministry of Internal International Affairs is working, and I hope everything is gonna be fine. And we all are working in this direction. From the point of view of Russia, that is blocking the grain corridor of Ukraine, by doing this, they leave a lot of people in the world to starve, in a lot of countries in the world to starve. And in such a way, they decline their partnership and level of communication with other countries. What is the purpose of these actions? How do you think? Well, you see that their leadership, this is basically a clear, pure evil, and they create even more evil to other countries. And I think for them in life, the price of a human life doesn't mean everything, but doesn't mean anything, both in Ukraine or in Africa or anywhere. And Ukrainians inside, they are together with God, but Russians, they are with nothing. And that's our position. There is nothing we can do. Well, the only thing we have to do is simply to win. And how is this grain corridor slow down? How will it influence Ukraine and other countries of the world? Well, if this corridor will be blocked, Ukrainian will not be able to export by means of sea transportation means. It means that the expenses for the logistics will increase through Donau or through western borders by means of vehicle transportational means or railway stations. The logistics and the prices for logistics will increase, and those countries who need primarily agricultural products, there the people will be starving, and the level of diseases will increase, and the level of deaths will increase. So, since we are still in the process of harvesting and the grain corridor is being slowed down, it means that the loaded ships are basically put on hold, and there is a question where to store the harvesting materials and harvesting products. How is this question solved these days? So we anticipated this problem even at the very beginning of combat actions, even in back there in March month. Back then, the orders for the temporary storage of vegetables were ordered, and primarily who helped Ukraine is the big world businessman Howard Bachman. and together with Alexander Vasilenko, who is a special representative of Ministry of International Affairs, we put this order, and in 4 or 5 days we will be receiving the feedback and provide the weeds for the farmers for storage. After that, the governments of Canada, US answered to our call, and they are also providing a huge amount of these storages. I would say dozens of thousands, who are capable of intaking, each of them which are able to intake in one at least 1 ton of wheat. And they will be provided these on the free of charge basis in order to store their products. So if we load everything up, one can store it there up to 24 months. So right now it is quite unsure when the grain corridor will be on again. What are the alternatives to this? So the alternatives, as I have already said, they exist. However, their power is less. Nothing can change the sea way of transportation. Nothing can reimburse the sea ways of transportation. But all know, if something will be done, it will be done through the Western railroads heading to Europe or the wheeled transportational means. If we resort to wheeled transportation means, we can count on 3 million of tons of wheat a month. But one doesn't have to forget, because $60 or $70 expenses will cost transportation of 1 ton of grain. If we, for example, deliver it to Odessa and then deliver it through the sea, it will be much cheaper than to do it by wheeled transportational means. And agrarians will not receive in this way their income, and we're not even talking about income. They will not even be able to return the self-cost for the production of this wheat and grain, and this will definitely lead to quite bad consequences. Ukraine will be sustained because as it right now we have formed our inside collection and assembling of harvesting enough for 5 years, but what the rest of the world will do. When it comes to, so one cannot feed himself with palms and sand. And Ukraine is basically one of the countries that provides food to the literally half of the world. That is why all the presidents of all the countries should not sweep this question under their carpet. They should urge this question more and more for it not to become a disaster. So, how do you think, will there be any demand for the wheat and grain in 2023? So, according to my forecast, I would say this will be one of the top cultures into agricultural cultures in 2022-23, because all the farmers and all the growers, I am urging them and I'm telling them that those weeds that was planted in May, it has been harvested here, and the necessary and and this will be one of the top agricultural cultures in the whole world. Thank you so much. This was Dmytro Solomchuk, member of Verkhovna Rada and a member of Verkhovna Rada's Agrarian and Land Policy Committee. Mr. Dmytro, thank you for this conversation. And I would like to remind you that we will be back at 12 o'clock and stay with us.